And then there were 8. And today we're going to be taking a look at our quarterfinal matchups in the World Cup. 4 matches. I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited about what is going to happen in this World Cup. I must address the elephant in the room. The United States, big defeat there. Embarrassing loss. I'm not going to get too far into it, but that was a brutal watch as a U.S. national team fan. Um, we played our worst game against the best team, and we got punished for it. That's really just to summarize everything. I'm not going to talk any further about it. There's going to be chapters in here, so you can skip this if you want to. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's get on to it anyways. Starting off with the first matchup we want to talk about is France versus Morocco. I do think that this game will be tight. These teams are a rematch of the semifinal of 2022. It is going to be a very intense matchup. I do think Morocco wants revenge. I think France has the quality. I mean, let's just look at this Morocco team kind of first off the bat. Look at some of their top players. Mazraoui's had a really good World Cup. Unahi coming from, I believe he was the one who was Brazilian, or not Brazilian, French, that swapped over to Morocco. Saibari's having a really good tournament, just signed with Bayern Munich. Brahim Diaz has 4 assists. Arshaf Hakimi is creating opportunities left, right, and center. Has added 2 assists to his game as well, scored a goal. So he's looking like a threat for the team. I mean, they're kind of getting a little bit of everything from all over the team, but they've scored at least a goal in every game. They scored 1 goal against Brazil, 1 goal against Scotland, 4 goals against Haiti, a goal against Morocco or against the Netherlands, and 3 against Canada. So kind of goals galore. If you're Morocco, they have kept just 2 clean sheets. So I think defensively is where they're going to find weakness if France wants to exploit them, which I think France will. We'll talk about a little bit about France as well here. France now conceded once against Senegal, once against Norway, have kept 3 clean sheets as well in this tournament. But looking at the team, I mean, you've got 3 goals against Senegal, 3 against Iraq, 4 against Norway, 3 against Sweden, 1 against Paraguay, a very tough Paraguay team, I will add. I think that Paraguay team is really, really strong. Mbappe leading the team in goals with 7. Olise leading the entire World Cup in 5 assists. Mbappe's 1 off the Golden Boot race behind Messi, or maybe 2 behind Messi at this point. I don't know if he's at 8 or 9 now after scoring today against who did they play? Egypt. But I do think that this game will, in the end, fall in favor of France over Morocco. I think that France just has too much quality in the attacking third, and they just are going to be able to kind of minimize the threat that Morocco has in the attack. And I really think that that's going to be what this game comes down to, is France is able to minimize some of those threatening moments, whereas Morocco is going to be punished for those threatening moments from France. And that will ultimately be the difference maker in this game. Looking ahead now at Spain versus Belgium, this game being played on the 10th of July. I think that this game is going to be very, very fun. I think it's going to be a good game. Teams haven't played each other in a very long time. They played a friendly back in 2016. Spain won that one 2-0. But obviously, there's very, very different teams. So it will be interesting to see what happens there. Looking at this Belgian lineup and how they've played recently, they beat the U.S. 4-1, of course, we've already talked about. They beat Senegal in extra time, 3-2 with a last-minute winner. They beat New Zealand 5-1. They've drawn 0-0 with Iran, drew 1-1 with Egypt. They have done an extremely good job of building up into this tournament. And I think that that's going to be a big role in what they can accomplish, is how their trajectory has gone and risen throughout the course of this tournament. So that being said, Leandro Trossard, 2 goals, 2 assists. Romelu Lukaku with 3 goals and an assist. Yuri Tielemans is playing out of his mind in midfield. I mean, looking at that USA versus Belgium game, Yuri Tielemans had the ability to control the entire midfield by himself. As for Spain, of course, they are not measurable in any aspect to this United States team, but let's look at them. 0-0 draw on the opening day, 4-0 win against Saudi Arabia, 1-0 win against Uruguay, 3-0 win against Austria, 1-0 win against Portugal. Spain have not allowed a goal all tournament, and that will be the difference maker in this game, is how strong defensively this Spanish team is. We're about 5 clean sheets for Unai Simon, a World Cup record for minutes played without conceding a goal. Mikel Oyarzabal has scored 4 goals, truly being the talisman for this team. Nobody else is on 2 goals currently as things stand. Mark Cucurella picking up 2 assists. I think that this is a really good opportunity. I do think that few players are going to have to step up. One of them being Pedri. I think Pedri needs to step up his game. I think Lamine Yamal needs to take a step up as well if Spain are going to win the World Cup. But I think in this game against Belgium, Spain just edges it out. I think this one will be 3-1 Spain. And for the final score of France versus Morocco, I'm going to go with 2-0 France. And now looking at Norway versus England. These teams have not faced each other since friendly games back in 2014 and 2012. England won both of those games 1-0, but nobody's playing in these games 12 years later, unless Jordan Henderson for some reason, but Jordan Henderson's now injured, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, let's move on talking about this game on the 11th, Norway versus England. First, starting off with Norway. Looking at their team, I mean, they are talented. They played a B team against France. That's why their only loss of the tournament. They beat Iraq 4-1. They beat Senegal 3-2. Lost to France 4-1, and then beat Ivory Coast 2-1. A very difficult opponent, in my opinion. And then they beat Brazil 2-1 as well. Two very difficult opponents that they've beaten. And now England, I think, is on par with how difficult those opponents are. Maybe I would say England is the next step. I would say Ivory Coast is here. Brazil is here. England is here, and then you get to the France and you get to the Spain. And that is how I would kind of tier these levels for this tournament. Holland, of course, 7 goals. Odegaard with 3 assists. He's actually joint highest for an Arsenal player World Cup assist with 3. He's actually tied with Dennis Bergkamp. I can't remember which tournament that was off the top of my head. The other player is Bukayo Saka, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But talking about this Norway team, I think that they are much stronger than I originally anticipated. Orja Nyland having a really good tournament as a goalkeeper. Patrick Berg looking like a very solid player as well. But the question is, can England manage to stop Erling Haaland? Brazil couldn't, with Marquinhos and Gabriel and Casemiro and just a really good team right there in the center of defense, couldn't stop him. Cote d'Ivoire, you had really good, strong team there. You had Senegal. You had France, who did stop him, or he didn't play against France, excuse me. But that's the only opportunity he scored in, I think, all 4 games that he's played in so far in the World Cup. It just shows the levels of Erling Haaland, and I think he nets another one at least against England. But anyways, speaking of this England team, I mean, there's a couple names that we have to address, a couple of elephants in the room. Harry Kane on 6 goals, Bellingham on 4 goals. Rashford scored the 11th goal for England, but they won 4-2 against Croatia in a very stretched game. England then beat Ghana 0-0. Or, excuse me, England drew 0-0 against Ghana. England then beat Panama 2-0. Then they beat DR Congo 2-1. And then beat England while a man down 3-2 at the Azteca. A very intense game, very heavy emotional game. A game that you can see a lot of adrenaline pumping in this team. Does it wear off? I'm not sure just yet. We'll talk about my result here shortly. But as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about Bukayo Saka. He is now one of 3 players with 3 assists in a World Cup for England. One of them was David Beckham, I think, in 2002. The other one being Harry Kane in the 2022 World Cup. And then now Bukayo Saka on 3 assists in 2026. Lots of assists, lots of players really showing off with their passing and creativity in this tournament so far. But I do have to give kudos to Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham specifically. I think that this game will end 2-2, goes to penalties. England wins on penalties is what I think will end up happening there. That's just my guess. I'm not quite sure. I think if this goes to penalties, we could see it go either way. Obviously, we've seen Nyland save a penalty for Norway already against Bruno Guimaraes. And then I think it was against Bruno Guimaraes. He saved the penalty. Let me go back and look. Yeah, so 14th minute, goalkeeper saved the penalty, and then in the second half, he conceded the penalty to Neymar as well. And now moving along to our final game, Argentina versus Switzerland. This one will be a really good game, I think. It'll be a really tight head-to-head matchup. I'm not sure. I don't think these teams have ever played each other in previous tournaments. I will have to check that out. Now our final match is Argentina versus Switzerland, and these teams haven't played each other since the 2014 World Cup. Granted, Lionel Messi was in that team, assisted Angel Di Maria to make a 1-0 win happen in the 118th minute. So we have seen Switzerland play against them before. I don't think there's anyone from the Switzerland team that is now in. I'm looking. I don't. Granted, Xhaka was actually in that team as well, so we are going to see Xhaka versus Messi again on the World Cup stage. I really am not so sure about this game, though. I think if Johan Manzabmi is not healthy and not able to play, I think this could get really, really ugly. He leads Switzerland both in goals and assists currently as things stand, with 3 goals and 2 assists. I do think Brilliant Bolo is going to have to step his game up a little bit more. He does have 4 goal contributions, but if we want to see Switzerland move forward in this tournament, he has got to find the back of the net just a little bit more consistently, or allow his wingers to play off of him a little bit better. I think Ruben Vargas is having a very, very good tournament. I think he's balling out. He scored the last penalty. He took the 5th penalty, scored it for Switzerland to advance in this against Colombia today in a 0-0 game that was very end to end despite the result being 0-0. Gregor Kobel will have something to say. I think he's probably on paper a better goalkeeper than Emi Martinez. Obviously, the accolades go towards Emi Martinez. He's won more, but I do think Gregor Kobel is a fantastic keeper. Looking at the tournament so far, the Qatar drew 1-1 against Switzerland. Switzerland beat Bosnia 4-1, 2-1 against Canada, 2-0 against Switzerland, 0-0 against Colombia. And again, similar to what we've been talking about with I can't think of who it was off the top of my head. Belgium. They're building up into this tournament. They're making a quarterfinal, playing better and better every single game. They look solid. They look very very under control of their games that they've been in. It seemed like they never lost control of this Colombia game when it was 0-0. Didn't really seem like Colombia did either, to be fair, but Switzerland are the ones who got it over the line. As for Argentina, I mean, we have it would be unfair not to mention Messi, of course, on 8 goals, leading the Golden Boot race. We saw him get an assist today as well. You know, they've scored 3 against Algeria, 2 against Austria, 3 against Jordan, 3 against Cape Verde, 3 against Egypt. I mean, they have been scoring a lot of goals. However, they've not kept a clean sheet since they beat Austria in the second round of. However, they haven't kept a clean sheet since they won the second round of group stage matches against Austria. I think that that's kind of got something to play a role in. They have scored 3 goals in every match except that Austria game, but conceding twice to Cape Verde, conceding twice to Egypt is a really bad trend to see, especially when you're playing a team that's as solid defensively as Switzerland. And so that makes it very, very tight, and it almost pushes me to pick Switzerland. However, I think it's silly to pick anything other than Argentina advancing in this game. I do think Argentina ends up winning this one. I'm going to say I think Argentina wins again 3-2. I think we've seen the trend now, so I'm going to go with Argentina winning 3-2 against Switzerland. So just to kind of recap us in this final kind of moments. France versus Morocco, I think France goes through. Spain versus Belgium, I think Spain goes through. Norway versus England, I think England goes through on penalties. And then finally, Argentina advance against Switzerland, winning 3-2. Let me know your predictions and thoughts down below. I think this is going to be a really, really fun quarterfinal group of games. I think all of these teams deserve to be here. I don't think there's any flukes, especially given this current format of the World Cup. I think every team has had to earn their spot at this position in the World Cup, and I think that it's well deserved. I'm really excited about these games. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and hit subscribe so you never miss another video. We do prediction videos, transfer videos. We do a lot of shorts content as well on the channel, and a little bit of long form just like this one that you're seeing now.